I'm Carrie Willis. I'm the Technology Director and teacher at Valley Preparatory School in Redlands, California. And this is my third year as part of the Wonder League Robotics competition.
And I'm Derry Stevens. I'm a former public school teacher. I taught 3rd grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. But now I'm Director of Community Marketing here at Wonder Workshop, and I'm the one that's answering all your questions on Edmodo.
Welcome to everybody, new coaches, old coaches, everybody that's new to the competition this year. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, that you introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're from, and if you have questions throughout the webinar, please use the question and answer little forum that's on there, because that way we can make sure that if we don't have a chance to answer them during the webinar, that we can email you or make sure that they're answered on Edmodo or through email at a later date.
And we will make sure we're going to be sharing this archive video as well as the slides. I will send them to you in about 24 hours it takes for the video to render, but I will be sending you all an email because you registered with the links to these slides, the video. We will also post the video in YouTube and Edmodo, so if you want to watch it again or share with a colleague or fellow coach who didn't have time to watch, by all means, share away. And if you missed our first webinar, I've also included the link to the first webinar we did about a month ago on this slide, so you can check out at a later date too. So I wanted to give everybody an update of where we are with the Wonder League Robotics competition. Last year we had about 20,000 kids from 5,300 teams. Those teams came from 52 countries worldwide. This year we changed up the framework a little bit because we wanted to invite more participation, make it kind of an easier threshold for people to try and enter and participate. And we are well on our way. So as of today, we have more than 2,300 coaches registered. That's more than 6,500 teams. Don't forget to finish registering if you haven't done so already. And the teams come from all 50 states. As of today, we got South Dakota.
Yay!
So we have a coach from South Dakota who has 2 new teams as of today. And then we have teams from 56 countries. 16 of those are countries that have never participated before. So it's really exciting. We have a lot from Australia and Canada, China, Germany. I'm looking at my list. Mexico, Poland, Spain, and Taiwan are kind of our top countries in terms of participation, which is really neat to see. We have a lot of new first-time coaches, as you can see. About 70% are brand new. And then 30% have joined us either in year 1 and or year 2. And then similar to last year, we have about 3/4 of our teams coming from schools, whether they're in-school teams or after school. We've even seen some before school teams this year. And then about 25% are home-based teams, neighborhood, homeschooling. And we actually have 1% this year that are from public libraries. So it's exciting to see librarians getting into the mix too. So our goal this year is to reach to have 10,000 teams participating. So again, if you can help us spread the word, that would be wonderful.
We love, love, love seeing the teams engaged from around the world. I know my students get so excited when they hear about, students doing the same thing in other countries and other states at the same time. So it's really great. So don't forget how inspiring that is, for the coaches and other educators and for the kids. So post to social media. Share photos and videos online to the different Wonder Workshop social channels. Use the hashtag #WonderLeague and hashtag WLRC. And in case you didn't know, there's some new social channels just for educators on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. So make sure you check those out, like them, join them, follow them.
And then, as we've mentioned before, the key skills of the competition go beyond, I don't want to say just coding and robotics, because obviously that is one of our main emphasis. But really, it ties in 21st century skills. So when we think about the 4 C's, critical thinking and collaboration, communication, and especially creativity, there are even SEL goals in the competition. We hear a lot about the perseverance and grit of teams and individual team members. One of my favorite videos from last year is this little boy, he's probably about 7, on a video saying, "This is our 127th time and it's gonna work this time." And it was just so great to see that dedication and that positive spirit. And then we really designed the missions to have a social good angle around civic engagement. We find that really appeals to girls in particular. And last year we had 47% of our participants were girls. So that's awesome to see.
Let's quickly review how to register. There's 3 steps. You need to fill out the editable survey, then join one or both of the Edmodo groups, meaning if you're a 6 to 8 coach or a 9 to 12 coach or both, you need to join one or both. And please, please, please read the coach's guide. Almost all of the questions that you have will be spelled out in great detail in the coach's guide. So do take the time to read through that. And the Edmodo platform is a really great way to ask questions and share ideas. People are very responsive on there. So be an active member of the community and really take advantage of that platform and connect with the other educators from around the world. And the Wonder Workshop team posts new blogs and posts weekly. So make sure that you visit Edmodo often so that you can get the latest information that they have to share with you. When you are registering, something important to remember is to make note of the registration edit link. So when you're done registering, it will generate a link that you can go back to and change things on your team or add things. That link will be emailed to you, but some people have had the problem of it getting maybe caught in a filter or going to their junk mail. So if you make note of that right after you register, that will be helpful for you. If for some reason you don't, and you don't get the email, please check your junk, check your school filter, make sure that surveygizmo.com emails aren't getting blocked. The registration link will come from the email address noreply@surveygizmo.com. So if you can talk to your your IT department, if those are getting blocked, that would be great to kind of whitelist that email address. And if for some reason none of those things are working for you and you just don't have the link and you need to edit something, you can private message Wonder Workshop on Edmodo and they can help.
Yep, I've got the master list, so I can always send you your edit link. And speaking of Edmodo, I just wanted to review for anybody who's new on Edmodo. So this left-hand screen, or the left-hand one that you see, this is your home screen. And this is where any of your Edmodo posts will aggregate. So if you have groups within your school, this is like a master social feed. And you're on the home screen because the home button at the top is lit. And then also the groups are on the side. And I point this out because it's really important to go into your group, either one, quite honestly. Because once you go into your group, you're going to be on your group page, because you have a colored header here. So you see how it says Wonder League coaches for ages 6 to 8 in blue. This is important because of 2 things. Number one, this is where the folders tab lives. So you can see it highlighted there. Within the folder, this is where I have all the guides, the mission materials, the submission and solution guides, videos, blog articles, practice materials, team recruitment materials. There's a lot in there to kind of dig through and enjoy, images that you can use on t-shirts. But it all lives in that folder. But you have to go to either one of the 2 landing pages, the group pages, to find this folder. The other thing to know is on this page, every Monday, at the very top, you'll see there's a pin post from me. So I do that every Monday morning. No, it's Pacific Standard Time Monday morning, so midday for you East Coasters. But that's where you'll see all my kind of weekly updates and reminders. So again, in this folder section is where you'll find guides, missions, solutions, and more. So do check that out.
All right, so remember, you definitely need to read that coach's guide cover to cover. That's your most important piece of material, I think, for this competition. But every team will also need to have a dash and a dot robot, a grid of some sort, and the little do-it-yourself materials, like things to make attachments, cups, things like that, and logbooks. in any way, shape, or form you see fit. And we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Great. Just a reminder, because I'm looking at my phone here, you guys can put questions in the Q&A if things are popping on top of mind right now. Go ahead and put them in the Q&A section, and Carrie and I will make sure we address them either throughout the presentation or we'll make sure we have time at the end too. So as for timeline, this is a little different than the last 2 years. We extended the timeline intentionally this year. So we opened up the participation in September, but it's never too late to join. As of right now, that is, because you have until February 16th to complete all missions. Everything is due on February 16th, but you can decide, you can spread out the missions. You know, as Carrie says, she does weekly practices. You could do, you know, a week's worth of practices all in one, so you can kind of make your own schedule. The 2 dates that are important to remember are, one, December 31st, this is when we're closing all team registrations. So you have to have all your teams signed up, even if you haven't started missions. Make sure all the data is in our system before we shut it down, and make sure it's complete. So as we mentioned before, some coaches have started their team registration but just haven't finished yet. You have until December 31st. The other thing is, like I mentioned, February 16th, we will accept online submissions, which we will be talking about, until 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So plenty of time to get those submissions in and gather all your kids' hard work.
And remember, they changed the framework this year to allow us to work at our own pace. And I just want to remind coaches that it's okay if you don't finish the competition. Maybe you just finish 1 mission. Maybe you finish 2. Maybe you don't finish any, and that's okay. Just do your best. You know, use this as a learning process for the students, for yourself. And it's okay to just participate. Some of my teams may not finish the whole thing, and that's okay. They can pick and choose missions as they kind of see fit. And this is just such a great learning experience for the students to go through these challenges, because they really are, they're challenges. You know, I see a bit more as a kind of a global, you know, challenge where many of us are working on kind of these same challenges at the same time, and not necessarily a competition. We're definitely not in this to win. You know, there's not a lot of winners, but we are all kind of winners in the aspect that, you know, the students really grow through these types of activities and lessons and challenges as they challenge themselves. So just remember that that's kind of the most important part about this, I think, as a teacher.
Absolutely. We got a lot of that feedback last year. People said they liked the competition, but they loved the collaboration and the teamwork that came out of this. We do have our first question, so I am going to just pause for a second and go back to the mats. We have a blog article that basically outlines 3 ways to do the mats this year. You can buy it from a third party called robotmats.com, and this is all in the blog article. You can print it yourself. We created 2 EPS files that you can take to like a Kinko's or a banner store and have it printed out on like a vinyl. Or you can create it, and the blog article goes into all sorts of ways. Whether you do, we gave all the dimensions, you make a grid right on your floor. One teacher was really creative, and she took an area rug in her classroom and flipped it and did the grid on the back of the carpet, so it became 2-in-1 rug. Others you can see in this photo use drop cloths, shower curtains, material. You just want to make it sure it's something that's not going to get caught up in Dash's wheels, but people have gotten really creative. Also in the blog article, I linked to a Pinterest board of kind of art inspiration, because we've also seen folks do paintings on their grid in line with the space theme this year. Others have actually, when they printed it at a banner store, they used a free NASA image to do like a moonscape. And then Robot Mats, who is selling the mats that are to competition specifications, they're actually creating a green screen mat. So if you're like Carrie and you have green screen ability and the tools in your classroom, you could actually get super creative in terms of what surface Dash is exploring and discovering up in space.
I know I was sad when the green screen mat idea came about. I had already ordered a mat to be printed at a local print shop here in my town. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have thought of that.
So
next year.
So clever. So just to finish up on timelines, the invitational round this year will be March and April. So it'll be about an 8-week final mission. And then we will be announcing our winners in both age categories in May. So to jump into the missions, each of the 3 missions this year has 3 smaller challenges, and they're scaffolded. So the skills are going to get progressively more complex across coding and robotics and collaboration and design thinking. We estimate that one mission takes about 12 hours. So that can help you kind of schedule your practices. But you can decide how frequently you meet and for how long the duration of your practices are. The missions are designed to build. So you'll notice, for instance, in mission 2, that dot makes an appearance finally. And that is because it will benefit teams to start playing with the idea of sensors and having dash sense where dot is or isn't. We've released mission 1 already, and we just released mission 2 on the 30th. Mission 3, we actually moved up the date thanks to Carrie's suggestion, just taking into account the holidays. Again, all the submissions aren't due until February 16th. You have plenty of time, but we want to make sure you, the coaches, had time to review the materials, plan out accordingly, and help schedule with your teams. This time for mission 2, we took feedback from the coaches, thank you, and we created the logbooks as both Google Slides and as PDFs. So hopefully that will make it easier to share with your teams. And in the logbooks, you will find information around setup, materials, the instructions for each of the 3 challenges, and the recommended scoring of challenge points. You'll also find in mission 1, we actually gave templates that you can use or not, it's totally optional, with your kids for the planning and reflecting process. This time in mission 2, we simply gave different prompts. And again, these are all optional. You can change the prompts, you can add to the prompts. It's up to you how you want to encourage your kids to both plan and reflect. And as I mentioned last time, one of the most rewarding parts from the final mission last year was that the teams, the final 60 some odd teams, kept scientific journals. And any of you that are educators know that this idea of show what you know is so important to kids' learning processes. And it really encourages both design thinking, you know, how can you kind of investigate and ideate and then test and refine your ideas, as well as the scientific process. You know, how do you come up with an idea, again, test, and then go back and refine your hypotheses or goals. So we added this idea of logbooks to this year's mission to get kids in this habit of mind of both planning and reflecting. So to get into some of the specifics, again, we're going to ask for evidence of this, but it's up to you and your teams how you want to do the logbooks. So you could simply display some of the questions or hand out the templates to the kids, or they could create their own. You could have kids pick a question of the day. Similarly, you can have every kid reflect and plan, or maybe you're going to do it as a team and you're going to rotate roles where one child is taking down notes of what everybody's saying, or one child is the documentarian for the whole team. And again, I would suggest you rotate that role, but then you could take a team approach to both planning and reflecting. And then for you as the coach, just make sure you're curating and organizing this content by team and per mission. And we're going to get into that in the submission. This is a great tweet that was posted just a couple of hours ago by Michael. And he wrote, "Really appreciate that this year's Wonder League robotics competition has teams planning and reflecting as much or more than coding and testing." So again, it's just helping kids show what they know and really put it down for others to see.
I think the kids don't appreciate that part of the process as much as we as teachers do. You know, why do we have to write that down? You know, well, you know, we know that these missions are designed to encourage kids, you know, to engage in the design thinking process. So as they're working through the scientific process, they're having insights, testing their ideas, reframing or reworking their plans. And so this reflection and, you know, planning should be done at every practice. I know this is something that we all do in our everyday lessons, you know, in the classroom. So we should kind of take that same approach to the competition. I actually have the design process posters hanging on my bulletin board to kind of remind the kids, you know, that this is, you know, what you should be going through as you're, you know, creating things, whether it's, you know, in this competition or just in, you know, in other aspects of education as well. And the students will use these planning and reflection journals as part of the evidence of participation in the competition. So they are very important. So in Mission 1, Wonder Workshop created templates for us to use as we see fit. You can use all or some, or, you know, just kind of use it as a template or an idea. You can also use, you know, you can print them out and have the students write in them. You can take screenshots and have the students type over them in a platform like, you know, Google Slides or Seesaw. And many, many teachers have shared all different types of platforms that they are using to kind of journal. And some of those are shown here. Personally, with younger teams, I would use Seesaw, because that's an app that we're familiar with here at our school and we use and the students use regularly, so that's easy for them. They're not having to learn something new. And my older students are using Google Slides because they're very familiar with that. So for the first mission, I simply just did screenshots and then I made little text boxes. Well, actually, I didn't even do that. They did that. I made screenshots, I made a document, I shared it with them, and they copied it into their own drive and made, you know, little text boxes, or you did Google drawings on top of the little planning sheets, and that was really easy for them.
Okay, so now to get into scoring and feedback. We really didn't go over this last time, so I do want to spend some time in this webinar making sure we've answered all your questions. So different for this year, we at Wonder Workshop are not judging the first 3 missions. Instead, we are sharing suggestions with you guys on how to score, and we're even providing solutions this year, examples of solutions, because there are multiple solutions, for you to use at the local level. Again, this was partly because we knew that some teams were only going to do 1 mission, some were going to do all 3. So really, we want to make sure that teams are able to celebrate all the accomplishments that they do, and that coaches were able to recognize at that local level. So a couple ways to think about scoring and giving your team feedbacks for each of the 3 missions. The first thing is that in every challenge, we suggest challenge points. So these are a set number of points plus bonus points. Now in Mission 1, you know, people were kind of questioning the idea that some of the bonus points were open-ended, and that was actually intentional because, again, teams are coming in with different levels of experience. So we thought, you know, in some cases it would be great to say, put points against, bonus points for as many sounds as you want to create. In other cases, the teams are more advanced and they know how to do 100 million sounds. So in that case, the coach can say, okay, you know, only 10 points are available for this challenge. So again, these challenge points are for you and your team. So feel free to cap things, change things as you see fit. But in Mission 1, there was, for Challenge 1, you could get 40 points, plus there were bonus points. Challenge 2, 30 points, plus more bonus. And Challenge 3, 60 points, plus bonus points. And again, in the submission process and solution guide, we actually gave screenshots and descriptions of different ways to solve Mission 1. From kind of an easier, I don't know if easier is quite the right word, but kind of going from a more simplistic solution to a more complex and efficient solution. So again, ways for you to kind of look at your team's progress and also to, you know, shore up your own kind of coding and robotics skills. The second thing we provided, and again, this is all optional, is a rubric. Now, you could use this rubric. You could also take this rubric, make a copy, and revise it or change it. So in our rubric, we looked at the overall solution, planning, reflection, and teamwork. You might want to add some criteria to this. And again, that is fine. It's a 4-point rubric. So students can, or teams can earn as little as 4 points or as much as 16 points. And again, you can add these points together, challenge and rubrics, to help determine your local leaderboard. The third thing we did was we provided a team feedback form. This is for you to give feedback to your team holistically. So this is just a way to say, hey team, this is what I really appreciated that you guys did well this time. And here's some constructive criticism and some suggestions for how you might be able to work better or tackle the challenge differently for mission 2. So again, these are just 3 ways to score and give feedback and really support and encourage the learning at the local level as your teams go through mission 1, mission 2, and mission 3.
We encourage you to celebrate each mission at the local level, your classroom, your neighborhood, your school, your town, or even your state. Here's some examples of how you could calculate a leaderboard based on both challenge points and rubric points. So you can use those. I read on Edmodo that some coaches had, upwards of 30 to 40 teams. So maybe you don't want to submit all of those teams into the competition. So maybe this is a way of narrowing down locally in your own school, your top few teams to, submit to the competition, and then also reward the teams that maybe are only going to finish one of the challenges or one of the missions. So they've provided these great PDFs of certificates that you can type right into, or you can print out and handwrite their names in. There's images where you can make team t-shirts if you see fit. You could iron them on or have them printed for, pretty low cost at a local print shop if you just do one color on a white shirt. But definitely look at the celebration pack and think of ways that, you could recognize your students, because this is a lot of work for them, and it's, it's a lot of outside time and for you too, so you should be recognized too. You can submit to your local newspapers, recognize at a local assembly at your school, or a flag ceremony, however you kind of do things like that at your school. But definitely give these kids some credit, because this is a tough job for them, and it's something definitely to be celebrated.
And this year, we are hosting an invite-only invitational round. So this is new this year, where we will be inviting 1,000 teams, 500 from ages 6 to 8, and 500 from ages 9 to 12, to compete in one final mission. So all the skills we've talked about will be building up to the most complex final mission. And this final mission will take place from March 5th to April 27th. If we have more than 1,000 teams that submit and earn all participation points, which we're going to talk about, then we will be using mission 3 as a tiebreaker. But again, when we release mission 3, we will make sure that we spell out all the criteria that we will be using if a tiebreaker is necessary, so you will know up front. We will be announcing the winners in May, and then just as a reminder for prizes, we recognize the top 5 teams in each age category, and each of those teams, they receive Dash robots, original certificates, t-shirts, and then the top 2 teams, one for ages 6 to 8 and one for ages 9 to 12, each receive a $5,000 STEM grant grand prize. Last year, just to share, the Pink Eagles, the all-girls team from Michigan who won from 9 to 12, they used that money actually to go to the Lego Robotics competition, because there were travel fees associated with that. So they used that for their airfare and their hotels, which was great. And then the neighborhood duo that won from India last year for ages 6 to 8, they've done some crazy adventure traveling where they've gone to a Formula One race to look at pull and drag, and they've, I call it spelunking from Pippi Longstocking, but they did like cave adventures, and they're gonna do a vlog for us, because it's really neat how they took this idea of STEM and applied it to just, exploring the world around us. All right. So submission process. So how do you submit the evidence for your teams? We would really love to see all of your teams work, even if you're not in the running, you think, for the invitational round. But, as I mentioned, we're hoping to have more teams participate than ever before. So it's really quite straightforward for the submission process for you, the coach. You're acting as your team's proxy in this case. You will open the form, which is linked here, and it's also, again, there's a submission process and solution guide where all of this is spelled out. But you'll go to this form, and similar to the registration process, you will fill it out for your teams, and it really walks you through. So you will get a confirmation email with an edit link, and that edit link you will use for all submissions, for all teams, for all missions. So everything is done through this one form, and you will just revisit it because you can submit as you go, or for many of you, you might want to wait till closer to February 16th when everything is done, and then sit down and submit all at once for each of your teams, and that's fine. And what happens is, based on the evidence that we ask for and you submit, you earn participation points.
Just remember that they're not judging this round. So it's just totally based on participation points and submitting evidence for your team. And all of the details for solutions can be found in the Submission and Process Solution Guide, which is in the folder section of Edmodo. And then they will be updating that guide when they release solutions for Mission 2 and the required evidence for Mission 2 on November 20th.
So this is the example of what you will find. This table that you're looking at right now is actually in the form. So again, you don't have to remember any of this, but when you go into the form, you will indicate which team you were submitting for, and you'll do it one at a time, one team at a time, and it will literally say, okay, challenge 1, upload your screenshot of your Blockly code or type in your Wonder key. And challenge 2, we want 2 pieces of evidence around planning and reflecting. So again, this could be a file that you're uploading, this could be a link, this could be a photograph of kids' work. Maybe somebody drew a really great diagram of the accessory that they were going to build. That would be a piece of evidence. And then for Mission 1, Challenge 3, we need a video of Dash completing Challenge 3 successfully. And again, this could be a YouTube link, a Vimeo link. You could upload the actual MOV or MP4 file, whatever's easiest. And coaches, you have actually a chance for some bonus points too. If you use that team feedback form, again, you can upload the completed form because you can type right in it, or if you handwrite it, just take a photograph and submit that as well. Because again, we want to encourage that feedback cycle. And when you submit all this, you will see that it adds up to 350 participation points. Again, not challenge points, we're not judging. This is just for submitting the evidence we're asking for.
I was thinking of a way that, would be easy for my team to submit and to kind of keep track. So my teams haven't even finished all of Mission 1 yet, but I was thinking about creating a Google slide doc for each of my teams and having, a slide for Mission 1 and a slide for Mission 2 and a slide for Mission 3, and putting the required pieces of evidence on each slide. So having a Mission 1 slide and having my Wonder key, my screenshot of my my students' journals, and then maybe embedded video or YouTube link of the Challenge 3 of Dash completing the challenge on video. I think that would be a really easy way to keep myself organized, because I know it's hard with a lot of teams and all these different pieces of evidence. And then you have this document online that you can just refer back to and add to. And Derry said it was okay if we submitted that one document kind of with all the pieces. And each time we submit, we'll just have to resubmit that same link.
Yeah. Correct. Make it as easy for you as possible. So think of ways to curate your the kids' work by team. That's the important part, because we need to see, if it's the robot workers or the space invaders. But you, like Carrie said, you could do it through slides. You could create a Google folder and put all the evidence by team in one folder, and then just share the link with us. Just make sure that you've changed the sharing permissions so that we can see what's in the folder, what's in the slide deck. But then you're not uploading multiple files. You're literally copying and pasting a link as your submission for evidence. We did get one question. Sujin Kim asked, we completed Mission 1 and submitted it. We didn't evaluate challenge points. Is that okay? Or do we need to submit it again? It's fine. That's totally fine. So challenge points are for you and your teams. I'm guessing some teams won't even do like the scoring because again, they're focused on just the teamwork and collaboration. But that's if you want to score it locally. We really don't need to see the challenge points because like I said, we are looking for participation and we are looking for those who do everything that will make it into the invitational round. So really the invitational round isn't based on skill. The only caveat is if we have more than 1,000 teams, we will go back and look at some of Mission 3's evidence. But again, we will be really clear up front about what we will go back and look for if we need a tiebreaker.
We have one more question. Phyllis asked, does each team have to have a different Edmodo account? No, thank you.
We changed that. Thank you for asking, Phyllis. This year we weren't able to host the competition on our site, so we used Edmodo as a third party. And originally we were going to have everything tracked through Edmodo, and that's why we originally asked for separate accounts per team. But what we didn't anticipate was we have coaches that literally have 20, 25, 30. I think one coach has 44 teams this year. And they said, whoa, we can't have that many accounts. And we said, whoa, we don't want you to. Our fault, we didn't anticipate coaches having that many teams. So you need one Edmodo account for you because it's your way to connect with other coaches and to find the materials. Your kids don't need to be on Edmodo at all. They can if you want to set up Edmodo, because you have a teacher account, you can set up groups for your teams. But again, not required at all. Edmodo is for us to communicate with you, for you to communicate with us, and for you guys to connect with one another as a community. Okay, funding ideas. We're getting to the end here. Carrie, you want to talk about the kind of what you've seen with fee-based approach and some of the grants that are available?
Sure. Funding can definitely be a challenge, as we all know, for technology. So Wonder Workshop has compiled a great blog article that lists many grants and also different discounts and things like Donors Choose and Adopt a Classroom. And Coach Tom from Turkey and Coach Chris from Germany have also shared blog stories about their funding pursuits in other countries. So those are some really great resources. Personally, I ask my teams for a small fee to participate in the after-school program. And our parents, thankfully, don't have a problem with that. They don't have a problem affording that. So it's really nice. So I use that money to purchase like a new mat every year and to purchase, snacks for the kids and, small prizes, things like that along the way. This is a long competition. So if you are able to and allowed to at your school, don't be afraid to ask your administration first, but don't be afraid to ask for a small fee because a little bit will go a long way, especially if you have a lot of students, and a lot of different teams. You could get some of the supplies that you need.
We also, one of the guides that you can find on Edmodo is called the Community Hosting Guide. And we also give some advice on how to reach out to your local community and look for sponsors or sponsorships. A lot of local companies would be happy to participate. That could be in form of mentors, having extra adult hands at your practices. That could be for providing food for your longer practices. We've heard about companies sponsoring for materials or even some of the prizes when it comes down to having t-shirts printed or maybe trophies made. So there's a lot of ways to kind of rally the local community because people love seeing kids doing these team pursuits, especially as Carrie mentioned, over a long period of time. And this is an ongoing, journey these kids are on. The other thing we're trying to do at Wonder Workshop is give you guys a lot of promotions. So we actually have a lot going on this month. Feel free to ask me questions, but I'm going to explain 4 of them right now. The first thing we started just today is, we have the registration window open till December 31st. We're trying to gather all the data, though, about teams, so we really want coaches to finish registering their teams. We have a good group of coaches that have started, but partly they're still putting their teams together or they just haven't gone back to enter the information because we know time is precious. But what we're going to do is those who register by Thanksgiving, so by Wednesday the 22nd, we're going to enter all the registered coaches into a giveaway, and the winner will get to either pick whether they want a Wonder Pack, which is a dash and a dot, or if they want to get their hands on the brand new Q robot, which is really geared towards older kids, but is really cool and sophisticated. So again, to be eligible for that, if you have completed your registration, you're already in the giveaway. Those of you that haven't quite finished it, just make sure you shore that up by Wednesday the 22nd, and then we'll do that giveaway just after Thanksgiving. We also have an Hour of Code special that we just started that will go through December 15th. So Hour of Code is actually a week-long endeavor, December 4th through the 10th. And to help schools and communities get ready for Hour of Code, right now we have a special. If you buy a club pack, you get a free dash. If you buy a classroom pack, you get 2 free dashes. And if you buy a tech center pack, you get 4 free dashes. So dashes all around. So it's a great opportunity to get some extra robots in the mix. We also have a Refer a Coach campaign going on right now. And the links are all in this slide, which again, we'll be sending to you. But if you can convince a friend or a colleague to sign up as a Wonder League coach, you will be entered to win a club pack. So that's 2 dashes, 2 dots, accessories, and the new Learn to Code curriculum, and 2 challenge card boxes. So it's a really great prize pack. So that's if you can help us spread the word and get some more Wonder League coaches. And then lastly, we've had this one going on for a while, but you can use the promo code WLCOACH, so like Wonder League Coach. If you use that on our site, you can get 10% off of a club, classroom, or accessory pack through the end of November. We'll probably extend that through the end of December. You can't use that in conjunction with the Hour of Code special, but that is, if you don't need the extra dashes, that might be the way to go for you. So lots of promotions. We wish we could give robots away to everyone, but it's just not possible. So we hope this helps. And again, look at that STEM grant and funding resource. It also explains our partnerships with Donors Choose and Adopt a Classroom. So lots of ways to help outfit your teams.
I know a lot of my colleagues in public school have had really great success with Donors Choose. So, definitely, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to try it. Doesn't hurt to ask. The community matching, I think it would be great. There's probably local businesses that wouldn't mind donating, to this great cause, especially if you have any local kind of tech companies in your town. I'm sure that they would be very supportive of that. And Naomi recommended, maybe even your school's PTA or PTO might be willing to, because I think that these robots, especially, if you're at a school, would benefit lots of students, not just the students in your, in your coding clubs.
Yep, and then like I mentioned, we've also heard a lot of public libraries are now kind of changing their space to obviously promote reading books, but they're also kind of transforming some of the actual physical space into maker spaces. And so we've seen a lot of dash and dot robots making their way into public libraries. So that's another way to kind of get your community involved, benefit the greater community, and participate in the Wonder League. So a couple last reminders, and then we'd love to open it up to some questions and answers, hopefully. Lots of these resources are found in the folders section in Edmodo. So again, go to Edmodo and go into one of the 2 group pages, and you'll see the folders tab. We'll post this video on YouTube and within Edmodo, and you guys will also get an email that has these slides and this archived video should you need it. Please make sure your teams are fully registered by December 31st. But if you want to be part of the early registrant giveaway, again, a Wonder Pack or Q, do that before November 22nd. Not sure why the spacing is weird on that slide, sorry. And then again, we'd love to see what's going on. It's so rewarding for all of us at Wonder Workshop to see kids, down on the ground engaging with Dash and Dot and working together. So please do share your videos and photos. As Carrie mentioned, we have a new Facebook just for educators, so /TeachWonder, a new Instagram, which is really lively. Again, /TeachWonder, same with Pinterest. And then we have our original handle on Twitter at Wonder Workshop. And you can use the hashtags Wonder League or WLRC. So we'll pause there, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see, and let me know if you guys have questions. You can put them in the chat right now or in the Q&A section.
I'd like to compliment you guys on the submission process and solution guide. I think it's just so easy to follow and just full of information and links that link out to the other important things like the celebration packs and the media kits and everything, the rubrics. I mean, this is great. I'm definitely going to be printing this and reading it in detail when I go to submit, hopefully next week. Has anybody else submitted yet? Raise your hand.
I can tell you on our end, we've had several submissions.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
My teams are almost there, working out the details in challenge 3. They're perfectionists.
Let's see. We won't be able to complete until nearly Thanksgiving. Sorry, I'm reading a question. We won't be able to complete our registration until nearly Thanksgiving. Can we get access to Edmodo group before that so we have some time to look things over? Absolutely. Yeah. So what I would suggest is you can start the registration process. So if you go to our site, to the Wonder League page, click the big orange button, you can start the registration process. Put your name in, where you're from, just kind of your coach information, and then you can go back and add your team information at any time. We do know that coaches are still forming teams. The great thing about the process we use, the form, is like Carrie said, you will get, the minute you start it, and let's say you shut out of it, you will get an email. And in that email, it will say, thank you for registering. Here's your edit link. And then that's the edit link you can go back to and add how many teams you're doing, what's the breakdown of boys and girls, what's their ages, how many team members. You can add all that later. If you can do it by Thanksgiving, you will be included in that giveaway for a Wonder Pack or Q. But again, you have until December 31st to fully register all your teams. Let's see if there's anything else. Any other questions? Small, big?
About anything.
Cover. We are open. We will probably do at least one more webinar before the end of the year. I can't believe we're already in November. But making sure that everybody's shored up and feeling good. Let's see, Shelly asks, is there a video or diagram that shows how to program a loop in the Wonder app? I don't think we have a video, Shelly, but I will double check to see if anybody on the team has one. What I do have is in Edmodo, in that folder section, one of the files is called practice materials. And in there, you will find some ways to kind of warm up with your team. We also provided all the answers for Blockly puzzles and then Wonder scroll quests, because that's in-app content that the kids can work through. I also included some of like the cues, the images that you might just want handy. So we kind of have some getting started material in that practice material file that you might find helpful.
And if you're referring to the first challenges, I think you can actually complete the challenges without doing a loop.
Oh, I see. Yep. If you look, we did it differently this year. We gave you a solution guide. So again, go check out the solution guide on Edmodo, because what we did for mission 1 is, like I mentioned, we gave like an easier solution, a kind of a middle solution, and then a more complex solution. And we actually gave not only descriptions, but then screenshots of both Blockly and Wonder, because this year we're giving the choice to you guys. And it's pretty evenly split from what I see on Edmodo. Some teams love Wonder and are going full finger painting with code mode. Others are just Blockly devotees. So, you have a choice this year. And I do encourage, since we're not judging, again, the first 3 missions, push your kids out of their comfort zone. Let them maybe do challenge 1 in Blockly and then say, hey, let's try challenge 2 in Wonder. Let's give it a shot. Because this is really for them to stretch their coding chops and their robotic skills and really leverage each other's expertise. and practice with together.
I know that some of the teachers I've talked to have said, well, I'd rather them use Blockly because that's what they're used to. Well, maybe, like Derry said, they just should step out of their comfort zone and try something new. I know that my students were definitely used to Blockly and because they were used to Scratch and code.org. But once they started using Wonder, they really find it much easier to use. I mean, it looks like a crazy mess to me on the screen. So I think maybe us as adults, it's not how our brains function, but I think it is how their brains work. So, give them that chance and see, and, they might really excel with that.
Yeah, it definitely appeals differently to different learning styles.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wanted to mention that it's already disappeared off my Q&A. The coach that just asked about the loop video, Naomi just posted in the chat a video she found on YouTube, so thank you. It's a loop creation video tutorial. And then Jeanette is asking, she's actually going through Wonder right now and doing the scroll quest as kind of a warm-up with her kids. And she's saying that she's getting an error message. I'm not sure what's going on there, but what I will do is on Edmodo tonight, I made a note of it. I will put, there's a way to bypass the scroll quests and the puzzles. You turn them on or off. So because I don't want to hold your kids up. So I will give you that teacher workaround. So I will post that in Edmodo.
There's a way to kind of unlock them all. Yeah. And we had to do that on some of ours because since there's not a login to the app, we had some new iPads, and so we didn't want to have to go through all of the quests again when they had already completed them. So there is a way to unlock them all.
Shelly just asked a great question. Shelly, you just read my mind because I thought, I need to tell people about this. Shelly said, is there going to be an update for Blockly to help protect the programs that students write so that they don't get destroyed when they don't close out? So blessing and curse with Blockly. Blockly, unlike Wonder, you can't share programs yet. It is top of our wish list internally too with our engineers. So we're hoping at some point, like Wonder, there'll be a way to kind of share programs because it's so great for collaboration. But right now, because there's no way to share and there's no way to we don't have student accounts on Blockly, there isn't a way to, you can save the programs, but the problem is when another team comes in and opens up the device, what we've heard from coaches, it's very easy to override both an existing program. So there's a couple workarounds that we've heard people doing. Often they will open up a program on Blockly and save it as blank and put nothing in it. And then it just needs to become a habit of mind for teams that when they are done at the end of the day, they need to save their program and then they need to open to the blank program because that way another team won't inadvertently open it up. I think personally this came around because Blockly and Wonder were first, the products came out with consumers in mind, with like one child and one device. At schools, we know that there are a lot of shared devices. So again, we've given this feedback all to our engineering team and they're taking it into account. But that's kind of, it's not a foolproof solution, but this idea of creating a blank program that the kids always put on the device at the end of their turn will help make sure that their programs have been saved and don't get touched and messed with, which is so infuriating, I know.
And make sure when they're saving their Wonder keys too, that they're pressing the last check mark, because I know that has been a problem with some teams in the past, because I think you have to do create key and then it will show you the key and that gives you a chance to write it down, but then you have to press the check mark one more time to actually like save the key, submit it kind of. So
Carrie, you mentioned you have kids actually physically write down the Wonder key before they shut out so that there's a record of it somewhere in the classroom.
Yes, definitely. But they do have to press that last check mark even after they've written it down. So each of my teams has a little magnetic whiteboard that is actually stuck to a whiteboard in my classroom, and they write down their keys on that. And then usually at the end of class, I'll put them into a Google Doc of some sort, just to kind of keep record of them in case the whiteboard gets erased. But that's how we keep track of it. But you guys could have like a clipboard or whatever works for you to keep track of them. They only have to learn the hard way once before they won't make that mistake again, though.
No.
Unfortunately.
What else can we answer in these final minutes? We just took about an hour, which is what we planned. Thank you guys for making the time. I know East Coasters, it's dinner time or just after. Anything else that we can answer for you? Big, small, otherwise?
Good luck to everybody. I hope everybody's doing well.
Good luck, and we will send out the email with the link to the video, the link to the slides. You'll also get my email, but also use Edmodo. I'm on there multiple times a day, and also, I really am enjoying seeing coaches share best practices with one another, because you guys are in the trenches with the kids right now, so you have the best insights and perspective. So good luck. Hope you're enjoying Mission 1, and those of you that have started on Mission 2, and let us know how it goes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye, all.